What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And sorry we waited so long to do this. We had different things we had to do, so we're back on it here. We're doing our top 5 cornerbacks. You guys voted for the position. For the next position, make sure you guys look at the community post. That's where I will be posting the next set of positions you guys want to see for our top 5. So pretty much how we're going to do this is we're doing our top 5 cornerbacks for this upcoming draft. We're giving our top 5. We're going to explain from bottom, from 5 to 1, and that's how we're going to do it. We'll give some honorable mentions as well. So quickly, to get the show right on, I have my honorable mentions: Trayvon Mullen out of Clemson, Justin Lane out of Michigan State, and Julian Love out of Notre Dame. I have a bunch of other guys that I like to watch, but I'm not going to throw them in there because, I mean, they're just guys that I like.
My honorable mention. We go ahead and do my honorable mentions here. So my honorable mentions will probably also be Trayvon Young. I like David Lane as well. I'm sorry. Trayvon Young. Well, let's go Jamel Dean. I like Jamel Dean as well. Jamel Dean's actually a huge guy out of Auburn. I really like. I'm just going to stick with those guys, actually. There's not a ton of corners I really like in this year's draft class, but those are the few that I like that are not on my top 5.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And there are a bunch of corners I like, just not – I understand what you're saying. A bunch of corners you like, just not enough to put in that top 5. So, yeah, those are some really guys I do enjoy watching. And for our top 5, and me and Jzach actually agree with this one, it's Amani Oruwariye out of Penn State. Now, Amani – is just a lanky corner that can play the outside. He has some problems in the man. He gets beat a lot. He has problems in man coverage. I think he's strictly a zone corner, like a cover 2 type corner. He's super quick, and his feet are jittery-like. That's what I like to see in a corner, someone that's always on their toes and ready to make a certain move and change his directions. He's long, has strong arms for jamming at the line of scrimmage. He breaks on the ball, is pretty successful on the breaks. I've seen a couple of games where he did get exposed on like curls and stuff like that, but I mean, it happens sometimes. But I think for the most part, he does good on breaking on the ball, things like that. He can fit. I put this as one of the notes. He can fit a man or zone scheme. I say that take that with a grain of salt. Like, I don't love his man, but I think he can do it. But he does fit in the zone scheme. A couple negatives I have on him. I don't see a smooth back pedal from him. It's very rough and very rigid, his back pedal. It looks like he's going to trip at any moment in time. That's something I do not want to see, especially if he's falling back to like a cover 3 situation, things like that, especially if I consider him as a zone corner. And then the last thing I have that I really don't like about him, that he allows some easier catches that shouldn't be caught, some quick slants or quick curls, something I don't really like from Amani Oruwariye. He just kind of gives those up some easy yards. For the most part, he's a solid corner. I could see him in the late of the first round. The Oakland Raiders pick him up or another team like that. Best tape I have on him is Maryland at 2018 and also Pittsburgh 2018. The worst tape I have on him is Iowa 2018, and my pro comp from him would be Aqib Talib. Not that he's as aggressive as Aqib Talib, but he is more of the he's going to be known as a corner in the NFL that bats away the balls. He can really bat away the ball. Same thing as Aqib Talib. They're not really known. Those two corners aren't really known for intercepting the ball and being ball hawks. More so just a physical, aggressive player that will be a constant nuisance to your receivers and bat away the ball. But go ahead, Jzach, with your take on.
No, yeah, I definitely agree a lot with what Kid Blue said on Amani Oruwariye. If I had to compare like Amani Oruwariye to like the quarterbacks, he'd be like the Drew Lock of these quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, he's got a lot of plays where he's like, wow, that's a lot of talent you got, and he's also got a lot of plays where you're like, what were you doing?
That's a good analogy right
yeah,
there.
right? Like, that's kind of how I see him. He's the Drew Lock of this year's. So like, he's got some of the most talent in this year's draft class, but at the same time, he does a lot of really stupid stuff that just makes you go, what are you doing, buddy? And like I definitely agree with you. Said I think it's more of a zone cover corner. He does fail a lot in man. I think it ends up coming down to his technique, as you said. His backpedaling is pretty weak. I don't think his hips flow as quick as you want them to. Yes. But he's also one of I think he's one of those. He's that prototypical lanky, athletic, long kind of corner that people like so much. I think he's a decent tackler, which is actually why I like him as much as I do. I like my corners to be physical and be able to make a tackle. No, I do like Amani Oruwariye. I don't really have like tape to recommend this video, but I will say that I have like a high second grade. I have a high second round prospect on him, but I don't think it's that much of a reach if somebody like the Raiders or the Eagles, who I have in multiple mock drafts, taking them at the spot they're in. I think a late first round pick is definitely very fair to Amani Oruwariye. But ultimately, I really agree with a lot of what Kid Blue said about him at 5. So I guess we'll go ahead and do my number 4 now, and then we'll go to your 4, and then we'll kind of. At number 4, I actually have David Long out of Michigan. I love David Long. Love him so much. I think a lot of people are sleeping on David Long heavily. Thing about David Long is he's very good with technique. Why I like David Long. Very good technique cornerback. It's why he's successful. It's why he's as successful as he was in the college. I know Pro Football Focus came out and said that out of all the cornerbacks in college football these past couple of years, he's batted away the most passes, which is kind of a good thing and a bad thing. It shows that he's getting targeted a lot, which is not always good. Usually, you want your cornerback to be very quiet. People always say it's like, oh, you know, where's my cornerback been all game? It's like you don't want to see your quarterback in a game.
Yes.
If your cornerback is shown, like you don't want your cornerback to show up at all on camera unless he's making a tackle from like a screen pass or something like that. Otherwise, I don't want to see my corner. If I never hear him, exactly. If I never hear from my corner, I'm a happy man. You know, so that's one thing I kind of like about David Long, but it's also kind of like, you know, but I definitely like David Long. He's another guy that I have just a little bit above Amani Oruwariye because I just do think he covers better. I think Amani has more talent than he does. Like I said, he's the Drew Lock draft class. I think David Long would be like the Will Grier. You know, he's not huge, but he does the small little things right that you want. In my opinion, especially when it comes to cornerbacks, those small little things that matter, like technique, you know, like you said, just backpedaling. I actually really like his hip rotation. I think he's really good at being where he needs to be in order to make a play. That's what I really like about David Long. Just really good instincts. But his big weakness for me is his game and his ability in the run game. He's a very, very poor tackler. That's one thing I don't like about David Long. If anybody knows me, I was just saying to this Kid Blue before this, we had a little miniature debate about our top 5s here, was the fact that I need my corner to be able to make a tackle. It's kind of reason why I'm okay with Janoris Jenkins sometimes with the New York Giants, because he will make a tackle even though he will bust some plays. I really want my corner to make a tackle. Eli Apple was decent in that. I did hate him. He was decent at that. DRC was horrible at that and got a lot better before he was no longer with the Giants. But that's why I really respect a cornerback who can make a tackle. David Long just really lacks in that ability.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'm done, actually. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's hear about Rock Ya-Sin.
Here's the thing. The same exact reason, it's funny that you mentioned that, the same exact reason why you love David Long for his technique is exactly why I like Rock Ya-Sin from Temple, because of his technique. That's why I have him so graded high.
Oh, by the way, I didn't mention Rock Ya-Sin. My honorable mentions, for you guys who know, I'm not low on him. He's my number 6.
Okay, cool. It's all good, man. But yeah, I have Rock Ya-Sin out of Temple at number 4. Same reason why Jzach loves David Long so much, because of his technique, is the same reason why I love Rock Ya-Sin. And on top of that, he's one of those spicy corners, man. He's the type of corner that if he deflects the ball and your receiver's on the floor, he's gonna walk over you. He's gonna talk trash. He's gonna get in the receiver's head. That's something I really love from my cornerbacks, from my defensive players in general. But I mean, that's just a cherry on top. It's not really anything that affected my grade on him, but I just really love that from Rock Ya-Sin. Like I said before, fantastic technique. He can play press man. I think he can do it. I know I believe he's like 6'2" or something like that. He's one of those taller corners that you want on the outside. Bigger structure on him, so I like that from my corner, especially on the outside corners. He has very tight window coverage. I mean, he's like skin tight on most of these receivers. He has a speed to keep up with receivers down the field. Just an aggressive and physical corner, like I mentioned before. But the thing is, he needs to be able to turn around and look for the ball. There are too many times I was watching Rock Ya-Sin, and he wasn't able to look for the ball and back of him while following the receiver. And the receiver winds up either making a play on the ball or drawing a pass interference call. That's something he really needs to work on, because he gave up crucial yardage, whether that's giving up a pass or a penalty there. And that's something I really didn't like from Rock Ya-Sin. He just really didn't like to look for the ball. He just stayed on the receiver the whole time. Another negative I have on him, even though I mentioned that he has fantastic technique. One thing, his hip transition is great, but I feel like he doesn't know exactly when to transition, because he usually transitions right as the receiver is breaking on their route, and it completely screws him up. I seen him give up so many yards on slant routes and dig routes because he was transitioning his hips, but as the moment the receivers were cutting in. So that's something he needs to work on as well. But I love Rocky Sin as far as his ability to play man defense. I love man corners, and I think he's definitely going to succeed in that. I haven't seen him play too much zone, but I think he's going to be successful in doing that. I have something that's called takeover tape. When a player just takes over a game and it's a constant problem, whether that's offense or defense, I mean, I have to recognize that as takeover tape. His takeover tape is Buffalo in 2018. This is a game where he did not start off very hot. I mean, it was to Tyree Jackson, for crying out loud, but he did give up some passes. He gave up like
the best quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, next Cam Newton, guys. But he did give up some passes from, I believe his name is Anthony Johnson, like a 5th round, 6th round prospect, wide receiver. He did give up 1 or 2 passes from Anthony Johnson. But after that, I mean, the guy had 2 interceptions. He returned I believe that was the game where he returned a 2-point conversion to the house, but it was called back or whatever it was. I mean, he dominated that game after his slow start. That's takeover tape right there. Another great tape that Rocky Sin had was UCF in 2018. That was phenomenal tape. He just played extremely well. Love his technique. Love how sound he was. Love how competitive he was. My pro comparison would be to Marcus Peters. The man coverage he puts on is very similar to Marcus Peters. The way he plays is very similar to Marcus Peters. Just a constant nuisance to the offense. I mean, not that he's a shutdown corner. He's just a problem. Like he can lay the boom. He plays great defense. He's a ball hawk. He can do all that. He's gonna be a problem like Marcus Peters was. And he reminds me a lot of him when I used to scout him at college a couple years ago, Marcus Peters. So that's what I have on Rocky Sin.
Spent like 2.5 minutes on Rocky Sin. Just your boy.
I really like this guy, man. So I'm going to transition now to number 3, and I have Byron Murphy. And listen, Byron Murphy can easily be my number 1 corner. As a matter of fact, he might be my favorite corner in this draft. I know I just talked a lot about Rocky Sin, but he might be my favorite corner in this draft. The reason why I have him at number 3 is not because I don't believe in his ability to do something. I just haven't seen it yet. I've seen very little plays that he's played in where he played man defense. Granted, he played well when he was playing man defense. I just need to see more of it. I just need to see where his weaknesses are on man defense. But he plays zone phenomenally well. Washington runs a lot of cover 3 zone. You've seen that from Sidney Jones a couple years ago. But Byron Murphy is just a hell of a better prospect. Excellent blanket coverage corners. He's those guys where he's just gonna shadow you. He's gonna shade up and shadow you the whole game. And why would a quarterback want to throw to a person that's being shadowed the whole game right over top? You have no ability to advance the ball after you've caught it. So a quarterback really isn't going to target somebody that's being shadowed. So I love that of Byron Murphy. It's very hard to get Byron Murphy, especially when they run a lot of mesh concept that's designed to break a lot of shadowing. It's gonna confuse the defenders and have them run into each other. Byron Murphy does not easily get distracted with that. He still follows his guys. His speed is phenomenal. His angling is phenomenal. Fluid hip movement. This guy could move his hips at will. I mean, he just does it all. Natural ball catcher. We've seen that in the combine. He just caught the ball extremely well with no doubt in his mind, just like a receiver would. That just shows me confidence in Byron Murphy. He's a confident corner. That's something you want in a cornerback. They're divas. They're confident. If you have a cornerback that just doubts himself, he's going to suck. He's going to be terrible. So a couple of knacks I have on Byron Murphy. He's not a great tackler. He's not a phenomenal tackler. He's a smaller dude, so he's not going to be a great tackler. From what I've seen from him, he has made some effort plays in the run game, but not what I want to see from him. Yeah, I question his ability to change to a different scheme, like a man scheme. I think he's just going to fit very well in a soft zone coverage type scheme, soft shadowing, cover three type scheme. He does have takeover tape, and my guy dominated the Utah 2018 game, the Pac-12 championship. In college, for the Pac-12, that's the biggest game. So you want your big time players to shine in those moments. I haven't had any worse tape from Byron Murphy. I didn't see anything that's worthy of calling it worst tape, so I just left it out. I think his tape is pretty consistent across the board. And my pro comparison from him, I really see a lot of Jair Alexander, the cornerback from last year out of Louisville. I see a lot of Jair Alexander and Byron Murphy, so I think that's a pretty good comparison and showing what he can be in the NFL level. So on to you, my friend.
No, I agree with Byron Murphy. But for my number 3, I actually definitely have Greedy Williams, somebody that Kid Blue has at number 1. A lot of people tend to have Greedy Williams at number 1. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think Greedy Williams is a one-trick pony right now, and I think right now he's a one-trick pony. I think he has tremendous talent, and I really do like Greedy Williams. I really do. Kid Blue has heard me say multiple times that at 17, I would take Byron, DeAndre, or Greedy if I'm the Giants. I don't care which one of them's there. I'll take any of them. I think Greedy is worth a top 12 pick. I love Greedy Williams, but I just think he's a very, very poor tackler. That's a common trend with me. Like I say, he's also a one-trick pony. He's phenomenal man press cover corner. So in a man cover, if you're in a man press system, Greedy Williams is the best corner in this year's draft for you. But if you ask him to zone, not very well. He's not quick. He's not like he's a quick guy, but when he plays off, he's not as quick as you think he would be. Like he doesn't stick with guys when he plays off. It's almost like he's only quick and fast when he's pressing somebody, which is very, very confusing for me with Greedy Williams because he's very athletic, very long. He's lanky. He's not the strongest guy in the world, but for some reason he's strong in the press game. So Greedy Williams there's a lot of what? But like I said, I think he's a one-trick pony, but he's very, very good at that thing that he's good at, which is man press cover. Basically, I think he's a cover 2 kind of safety, kind of like how I think Deandre Baker is kind of a cover 2 safety, but I think he's, a cover 2 man safety. That's the thing about Greedy. Very poor tackler. There's not a lot to say about Greedy for me personally. That's it. I think he's a phenomenal best man cover corner in this year's draft, man press cover corner. But when it comes to zone, I actually think David Long and Amari Warrior actually play better zone than he does, which is a weird thing to say, but I do think it's true. But I think Greedy Williams' upside is tremendous. I think he has the most potential out of any corner in this year's draft class. But I do love Greedy Williams. He's a very competitive guy. Another thing I love about Greedy is how competitive he is. He's a leader in the locker room over there at LSU, which is, I think, a very underrated factor when looking at your corners. I think this is a guy that you can draft and immediately he become the leader of your secondary, even as a rookie. Something I really love about Greedy Williams. But that's all for me when it comes to Greedy. Let's go ahead and go to Kid Blue for Deandre Baker at 2, where we actually agree again.
Yeah, you go ahead. Okay.
I'm number 2. Sorry. So Deandre Baker is kind of, in my opinion, the hybrid between Greedy Williams and Byron Murphy. He's somebody who's really good at man press. He also can play off fairly decently. I think DeAndre doesn't play man press as good as Greedy does, but he doesn't play off as good as Byron does, right? But he does the middle ground that neither of them really have. So in that way, I used to think he was the best corner draft until I started watching more and more tape on Byron, which I'll get to later. But that's what I like about DeAndre. DeAndre tackles, and he tackles very well. He's probably the best tackler in all these corners here that are here. He's probably the best tackler, which is something I value, of course. I think Greedy has phenomenal talent, great footwork, great hip mobility. He knows where to be when the ball is coming. Greedy is weird, though. I mean, not Greedy, DeAndre. Kid Blue was saying something about this earlier, how DeAndre doesn't have that takeover tape. That's something Kid Blue loves to say a lot. I said quotes. I wasn't mocking him. I'm just actually quoting him. And DeAndre really doesn't have that kind of tape. He actually doesn't. Kid Blue's right. He doesn't have that tape that just makes you go, they are not throwing to him. But when they do throw to him, he usually does his job. DeAndre Baker is the epitome of does his job, and that's it. He doesn't do a lot of extra stuff, but he doesn't give up a lot. He's a very safe corner. I think he's not the safest corner of this draft, but I think he's a lot safer than drafting somebody. You know what you're going to get. and you've seen it on tape, and there's not a lot of question marks. Deandre Baker, very safe player, does all the intangibles. This is what I like about DeAndre. Let's hear what you like, DeAndre.
Yeah, I agree. I have him at second, just like you do. He is a very safe player to draft in this draft. He's probably the most balanced. I want to use that very lightly, but probably the most balanced corner in this draft. He can play the man. He can play the zone. You know, with Greedy, he's more of a man. With Byron, he's more of a zone. So you're right. I like that that little analogy you made there, that he is more like both of them put together there. I really like Deandre Baker because I'm just obsessed with corners that are just long, man. A large wingspan. I mean, the guy can bat away the ball 9 feet away from him. You know, what I really
he's on one hash like to the other hash.
Oh yeah,
like the other hash.
Yeah, I've seen a couple times where he looks
like Kevin Durant out there on the court on the field.
Yeah, I've seen a couple times where he was about to give up a pass, and you just see his long arm, just like, you know, Michael Jordan from Space Jam, just get away, you know. So that's what I really love about Deandre Baker. What I love about Deandre Baker, he does not give up on plays. There are a couple times in there where, like I said before, the wide receiver he catches the ball, he's about to tuck it in, and Deandre Baker does not quit. He's gonna punch the ball out like Peanut did. Peanut Tillman just punch the ball out, knock it away, get his hand in there, and it saved a couple touchdowns I've seen. It saved a couple first downs, and I love a corner that just does not give up. He's a willing and hard-nosed tackler. He's going to lay the boom. He's going to put his head down and wrap up to tackle. He does his part in the run game. I've seen a couple comments on his film saying he doesn't do that. I don't know what they're looking at. He does play the part in the run game. So that's what I really like about Deandre Baker. The couple knacks I have about Deandre Baker. I did mention how Byron Murphy does not get easily, put off by the mesh concepts. Deandre Baker is the did I say Byron Murphy? I said Byron Murphy. Yeah. Deandre Baker does not do that. I've seen which tape was I watching? The Oklahoma tape with Marquise Brown. When he was defending Marquise Brown, I mean, it was a crapshoot. It was terrible. He could not defend Marquise Brown. He was too fast.
He got played.
And Marquise Brown was on the outside. He wasn't even in the slot. He was on the outside making mesh concepts, making slants like Deandre Baker could not keep up. Now here's the problem. Like what I have Deandre Baker as is he can play press in cover 2. He could play close cover 2. He can play soft cover 2. But I imagine him as being a cover 2 corner, cover 3 corner, just gonna play the outside and be comfortable there and kind of make his money in the cover 2. I don't envision him, being a following man corner. He just doesn't have the speed to make up for that. His speed is decent. I think he ran like a 4.52 in the combine. I mean, it's okay. It wasn't fantastic. It was good, but he just doesn't have the agility to keep up with these faster route running wide receivers, which he's going to struggle with the Sterling Shepherds, the Julian Edelmans, and the Marquise Browns, Antonio Brown. He's going to struggle with those guys, but as far as the strict outside wide receivers, I think he's going to be just fine. His best film I have to me is Mississippi State in 2017. That was pretty good tape. I really like what I saw from him there, but it was in 2017. I got to see something now. That's just kind of what I'm looking at right now. But his worst film was the Rose Bowl in 2018. That was also last year. That was when Baker Mayfield was still there. So I mean, that's a good thing too, that his worst film was that long ago. I really like that about Deandre Baker. I really like what I see from Deandre Baker. Just a couple things he needs to work on. My pro comparison to him would be William Jackson III, the cornerback out of Cincinnati who came out of Houston a couple years ago. I see a lot of Deandre Baker in William Jackson or vice versa. Some people compare him to Tre'Davious White out of LSU, and I thought about that as well. That's actually one of the names I thought about when I was looking at Deandre Baker. I just think Tre'Davious White was a better prospect coming out. I really like Tre'Davious White. The dude was just insane.
And Marcus Lattimore were just amazing prospects.
Yes, I mean, they were fantastic. I just think Deandre Baker is great, but I don't think he compares to Tre'Davious White, so I'm just going to say William Jackson sounds fair. But I guess I transition to my number 1 guy now, and that's Greedy Williams.
Best name for a corner.
Yeah, what other name would you want for a cornerback?
Like
Greedy.
his last name's Island or something. Like
Yeah,
Greedy
right,
Island,
Greedy.
just something stupid like that. Like
I mean, who
change his
knows?
last name to Island.
Maybe if he gets great, maybe that's gonna be his nickname. I don't
Yeah,
know.
Greedy Island.
Greedy Williams. I mean, I what can I say about Greedy Williams? Yes, he doesn't play great zone coverage, but if you look in the NFL now, yes, they're starting to transition to more zone guys, but there are still a lot of traditional defenses that play a lot of man. And I think if he gets into a man zone, a man scheme, he's going to play phenomenally great. He's going to live up to his reputation. He has great size and speed. The dude's like what? How tall is he? 6'2", 6'3"?
6'1".
6'1", really? Oh, he's still
Pretty
on the
sure.
taller. He's still on the taller side. He's not like that 5'10", 5'11" you see in cornerbacks now. But great size, great speed. He ran like a 4.3 in a combine. That's what I want to see from a corner. Fluid hip movement, very fluid. Great man corner. Sticks to his receiver. Great downfield speed. He's
6'3". I'm sorry, I'm stupid. He's 6'3".
I mean, yeah, he's 6'3".
I think Deandre Baker is 6'1" or 6'2".
Okay. Well, he sticks with receivers downfield. He has the height to do so as well. So any 50-50 balls. He's another guy with a larger wingspan. So that's something you want to see from your cornerbacks. Something I did see, and I have his best tape being Ole Miss, but the thing is, he didn't give up much. He didn't give up much of anything against DK Metcalf. The problem was he was getting away with a lot of pass interference, a lot of holding and things like that. He was getting a little too touchy with DK Metcalf because he knew DK was too strong for him.
Yep.
And that's something that I'm worried about because DK Metcalf isn't even the biggest problem you're going to have in the NFL. And DK Metcalf is the least of your problems in the NFL. So
he's just going to run a go route.
Yeah, exactly. So you know what he's going to do. And Greedy Williams, I mean, he only gave up, I would say he only gave up like 15 yards to DK Metcalf. I think DK Metcalf only got like 15 yards on him, a couple 5-yard catches here and there. He broke up a touchdown from DK. He did his job. When you look at the tape, he did his job. But when you really look at it, he got away with a lot of pass interference. He got away with a lot of touching and grabbing and things like that. That's the thing I'm really worried about with him moving on to the next level because, like I said, DK Metcalf is the least of your problems. Wait till you go against Julio Jones, who has the height and speed that and strength that DK Metcalf has, plus the route running ability, plus the ability to make crazy catches. So that's something I'm worried about.
That's actually one of the negatives about Greedy I forgot to bring up is that I could see him like drawing in a lot of flags in the NFL. He actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Eli Apple in that essence. Not saying he's going to be Eli Apple, but he reminds me of Eli Apple a little bit.
Completely agree. That's something I struggle to, kind of forget about Greedy Williams, but it's there. His zone also is going to be a problem. You know what it is? It's not his athletic ability in zone. It's his instincts in zone. That's what I really think it is. He doesn't have the instincts to kind of prioritize who to follow. Yeah. He wants giving up the wrong play.
It's just the football IQ, I think, is where he's struggling right there in the zone coverage.
Yes. So he's the type of guy where it says, here's that guy, there's that receiver right there, follow him.
Yeah.
Do not let him get out of your out of your sight. And he's just a yes sir kind of guy. So I'll follow him. Yeah. But when you ask him to be like, oh, so in this smash concept, you want to go after the guy that's giving up the most, like he's not gonna know. He's not gonna know that, especially in the heat of the moment. My player comp to Greedy Williams, I think a lot of people have him compared to Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, and I'm gonna throw another guy in there, Kevin Johnson, the cornerback that used to be with the Texans. Where is he at now? He's somewhere else now. I can't remember what. Jags, is he? He's with somebody.
Yeah, he's with somebody.
Yeah. He's with somebody now. But Kevin Johnson, Greedy Williams reminds you a lot of Kevin Johnson, a longer guy that plays man defense. And that's pretty much who I got for Greedy Williams in comparison. Just a mix of those two players. So go ahead and give your number one in Byron Murphy.
Yeah, Byron Murphy's my favorite cornerback in this draft. I love him a lot. He's kind of okay. So Byron Murphy is he's almost the exact opposite of Greedy Williams. I mean, almost and actually almost. He is phenomenal in corner. He's the best zone cover corner in the draft. I if anybody tries to debate me on that, I will hit you. I think it's that obvious. He's the best zone cover corner of this draft without any question. I would argue that he is probably just as good at man coverage as Deandre is, maybe even better. Like, that's how good I think Byron Murphy is.
That's fair. It's fair. I have seen good man from him.
That's the thing about Byron is there's not a ton of tape of Byron playing man coverage, but you won't find bad tape of him playing man coverage is the thing. So you're not going to find a lot, but you're not going to find bad tape. There's not a lot of bad tape on Byron Murphy. He's relatively a quiet cornerback, and that's what I like about him. He's very quiet. You do not hear from Byron Murphy a lot throughout a game. And he does tackle. He's not going to lay the boom on somebody. He's not going to come just drill pepper somebody on the sideline and just make him drop the ball. But he will make a tackle. I've seen a lot of his tape where he has gotten low and he's wrapped up. And he's very good, solid, technical tackle, which is why I love Byron. There's not a lot of tape of him playing press, but there's no bad tape of him playing press a lot. His press... That's the thing about Byron. There's not enough bad tape on Byron for me to put him any lower. I can find bad tape on Deandre. I can find bad tape on Greedy. I can find bad tape on Long and Aurier. I can't find that much bad tape on Byron Murphy, which is the thing. So yeah, he might not have all this phenomenal tape that just stands out and pops like Greedy Williams does have those wow kind of plays, just like Amani Aurier does, those highlight kind of plays. But when you watch Byron, he's consistently locking corners and locking wide receivers down. I don't think there was a one receiver in college football last year who just torched Byron. Like, there just wasn't. I didn't really see a game last year where I was like, Byron, come on. You know, if he got burnt, it wasn't all game. It was for a play or two. You know, and then for the rest of the game, he kept them quiet again. That's the thing about Byron Murphy. I think he's just my favorite corner of this draft. If he's there at 17 for the Giants, even if we didn't take an edge rusher at 6, I think we have to take Byron Murphy. But then again, I also prioritize a secondary over a pass rush, specifically corners, not safety. I truly am one of those odd people who think corners are more important than than edge rusher is. So even if we take like Jonah Williams or somebody at 6, somebody else who's not an edge rusher, I actually am firmly behind the idea of taking at 17, specifically Murphy. In fact, you would not even hear me upset if they drafted Byron Murphy at 6. That's how good I think Byron Murphy is. Yeah, that's how good I think he is. I think he's that good. I actually would put him in the ranks with Tre'Davious White and Marcus Lattimore. I think he's that good of a cornerback. Love Byron Murphy. I just can't say anything more positive about the guy. Like I said, I would think it was a reach at 6 if we took him. So nobody hear me. I'm not saying he's a top 10 player in this year's draft, but I'm saying he's a top 10 player in this year's draft. He's not the number 6. I think I could put him in the top 10. I could put him at 10 or 9. Because of how important I think cornerback is and because of how good I think he is and will be in the NFL. I'll think it's a little bit of a reach, but I'll be okay with the reach because I pretty much know he's going to be a solid corner. I know you can never typically say you know, but I think Byron is a completely safe cornerback. I just love the guy. I think he's awesome. And I'm going to stop riding him for a little bit.
I mean, it's fair. Like I said, when I was talking about Byron Murphy, I was saying, you know, he can easily be the number 1 guy. Yeah. I just need to see more kind of diversity from his game. That's all. That's all I'm really saying. I just need to see some more diversity in his game. But I mean, from what I saw from his man defense, I do like it. You know, it's not. I can easily put Byron Murphy at 1, Greedy at 3, Deandre at 2. You know,
I agree. I've seen this. I've seen this top 3 getting flipped around so many times, and it's at the point where I don't even get like. Typically, I'm kind of an asshole. So when I see people's like top 5s of something and it's not what I think is obvious, I can get a little arrogant, a little irritated. Like when I see somebody call Dwayne Haskins the best quarterback in the draft, I'm like I respect your opinion, but I respect your opinion, but I think it's very ignorant. Like I have to admit, I'm kind of an ass. But when it comes to the 3 corners in this draft, it's one of the few positions where I'm like, okay, I see it. And I can't argue it because at that point, it really does come down to preference with these top 3 corners. Me, I think easily Byron's number 1, but I understand why other people would put him at 2 or 3. Now, if you put any of these 3 corners at 4 or 5, you don't deserve to even call yourself or say that you know how to scout players. If you put any of them at 4 or 5, then stop, you know. Stop what you're doing.
For sure.
Stop it. Get some help, you know. If you have any of these guys at 4 or 5, quit it.
Cornerbacks are just one of my favorite prospects to watch.
Yeah. I truly do think behind quarterback, it's the hardest position in football to play. I truly believe that behind quarterback, it's the hardest position. And I love cornerbacks.
With
So
that being
much.
said, guys, with that being said, that is our top five. Let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section below. Ours are very different actually. We have two guys that don't even show up on each other's list, so some diversity there. I do like
Yeah.
that. So let me know what you guys think about the list in the comment section below. Be sure to look at the community post after this video is posted. I'm going to be posting on the community post. We had like 230 votes last time. Thank you
Yeah, that
guys
was
so much for
awesome.
that. So if we can do that again, maybe even double that, who knows? But
Snap.
go ahead and vote on the next position. I'm gonna have the guys. I'm gonna be the position. I'm gonna be listing there on a poll. You guys and just click of a button.
So
Just go
like,
ahead and vote.
of course, it's their choice.
Hmm.
But for fun, I want you to give the position that you want to do next, and then I'm gonna give the one I want to do next. But if it's
Okay, go
their
ahead.
choice, it's completely their
Yeah,
choice.
yeah,
Of
yeah.
course,
Go
whatever
ahead.
they vote for. No, you first.
Oh, me first.
I want to hear
Okay.
this.
Even though I mean I only got like 3% of votes for this, but I kind of want to do running backs. It's my favorite position.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to do running backs, but wide receiver is also an option. I actually really like wide receiver, so I'm probably gonna say wide receiver.
It was wide receiver, but because I've done a lot more scouting recently on this position, I really want to do offensive tackle, and I want to
That's
splurge.
interesting.
Yeah, and I want to splurge in left tackle and right tackle, and then we'll splurge in
'Cause-
interior offensive line. So like we'll splurge in centers and guards, but I really want to do the tackles because I'm gonna give you a little spoiler real quick. Andre Dillard is the second best tackle in this year's draft. Don't at me.
Didn't I tell you?
He's
Didn't I
amazing.
tell you?
He's the second best tackle in this
Dude,
draft.
I
Don't
told
even
you.
at
You're
me.
like, oh, I don't
And
know
dude,
about
and
Deandre Dillard.
I totally think the Giants could cop him in the second round, and I think he's the second best right behind Jonah. He's just him and like Shuma Yoga. I love those two guys, and you guys are gonna hear.
Dude, I was telling you about Andre Dillard, but that'll be for another video.
Yeah,
So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and we will see you all in the next video.